Hello and welcome back to the AV Experience, where we talk about everything AV and home theater. I'm your host Ryan, joined as always by Jonathan Archaea.
Did you just have to look at my name to remember what my name was?
I didn't.
There was a sigh, a
There
slight
was a
pause.
sigh. There was. I'm just
steady
having that kind of week. See, look what he's doing to me.
We've been doing this for years.
Look what
My
he's
friend,
doing to me.
oh,
God, what's his name? I can't remember. Oh man,
to
all
go.
I've referred to him up until this point was, "Hey guy, you person that ruined my life, putting those big subwoofers in my living room. You
Yeah,
you
this
forced
is
them
one of
in
those
there."
things, let the guy has without sin throw the first stone, because I have yes, I have the same problems all the time.
Yes. Just yes. I'm not gonna deny it. I'm just gonna say yes. That's all that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So how have you been?
Good. Really, really busy, like
Yeah.
off the hook busy for the last week.
Yeah, our kids' sports are starting to start up again. Son started varsity. He made the varsity team, so now that's all kicking into full swing. His first game's Friday. Daughter's on 2 soccer teams, and think she starts basketball at some point at the same time and volleyball. So it's all of this stuff is happening simultaneously. And I go to Cedia for over a week, and then I come back and Haterade Cowboy comes in to do the Mad VR Experience Center,
Mhm.
and it's a yeah, it's a lot. But when I'm busy, I don't have time to eat, so I don't get fat. I realize that when I get bored, I eat.
Yeah,
Mouth gotta move, and I get fat. So I've been busy enough that I keep losing weight. So that's good.
that is good.
That is good. Yeah, it's solid. It's working.
Keeps
Hey,
the Disney ankles at bay.
is that healed, by the
Yeah,
way?
you
Okay.
can't tell anymore.
Okay, that's good. I still laugh thinking about your wife.
Awful.
Oh. So you said you might have a couple topics that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I was watching a thing by Phil Jones.
Oh,
He
the
interviewed
projector one.
recently.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw you post
it
that.
was like 10 days ago. I just watched it today.
Mhm.
But he had said something that I thought was kind of a bold statement that I was surprised to hear him say, but I in spirit agree with. And we've talked about it on the podcast here.
Mhm.
To put it bluntly in the video, or to
Let
summarize
him
it,
have it.
he said that he would rather have a projector with 200 to 300 nits. And for what it's worth, let me just back up a second. Philip Jones owns Projector Reviews. It's probably the second biggest projector site behind Projector Central, perhaps. Would you agree with that, or do you think there's more in line?
I don't know which one's bigger or not, or it's probably those two, and those names are confusing in of them themselves because they're close enough that they're kinda sound similar.
Sure. So Projector Reviews is the one that Phil owns. And he used to work for Sound United. I don't think he's in that capacity anymore. Now he owns a Projector Review site and does that.
Mhm.
At any rate, going back to where I was saying, he said that he would rather have a projector with 200 to 300 nits and 8 to 15,000 to 1 contrast ratio native
Mhm.
over a projector that was 100 nits and 100,000 to 1 native contrast ratio, which is an interesting thing to say because a lot of these reviewers have historically just said, like, black is king, black floor is king.
Mhm.
But his point was, and he's been exposed to some of these brighter projectors that are starting to be released, some of the boutique stuff, some of the Epson stuff. And he's saying, look, the HDR doesn't pop like it should. He said for SDR, choose the traditional JVC or
Yeah,
whatever all day long.
I agree.
But he said for HDR, those bright scenes don't pop like they do on the other ones. And the black floor is one component of the image and not the full encompassing component of the image. I'm not surprised to hear that. That's how I've been feeling, and that's how you've been feeling. I mean, we've had these conversations, but I think it is interesting to see that coming from like an industry well-known giant, if you will. Somebody who has a lot of weight in the industry to say that might again help move the needle forward for like the goalposts, in the future for these next iterations of JVC, Sony, Epson.
Yeah. That's a tough, especially on larger screens, though, that's a tough one to that's a tough ask.
Well, so here's my thought on, and I mentioned this on the forum threads here recently too. If you took and I don't know the technicals of this, right? I'm not a JVC engineer. I don't know what kind of limitations they're at. But if you take like their flagship, which is 80,001, flagship that's 80,001 or 100,001 type range, and that's what he's obviously talking about without mentioning names.
Mm-hmm.
The native contrast, and say you cut that contrast by 3/4, by half, by 2/3, whatever it is, and you drop it down to say 20,000 to 1 native contrast. Could you double the lumens and effectively have the same, like say 20,000 to 1 native contrast and double the lumens? That seems like you should be able to, right? Because you're cutting contrast by 3/4 and you're doubling the lumen count.
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I mean, you could. The easy way out would be to do a smaller screen.
Yeah, that's not the right way.
I know it's not exciting, but you could do it on something like an NZ 900.
You could do that now, sure.
I know you could do it now on a smaller screen. Do like 120-inch screen.
Boo.
You're gonna get. Yes, boo. It's so terrible, so awful.
I'm just saying that I feel like here's where my head's at on it. And this isn't what he said. This is my thought. JVC is pursuing that contrast spec. Good, fine. But to the degree that in order to enjoy it, you have to velvet out your entire room. Like
Yes.
a typical enthusiast room. We're not talking average Joe that has white walls and white ceiling and a, area rug. I'm talking about enthusiast rooms like this that's dark, black paint, black rug, like
Not enough.
black seats. You're not going to take advantage of that contrast. You need velvet to take advantage of that contrast.
Yeah, there's very few rooms that are able to take advantage of that.
So they're pursuing it to that degree that like it becomes like almost a niche within a niche market. It's so far down the rabbit hole for the spec that they're chasing that I think they could like back up and say, hey, the majority of our customers or the majority of the market, perhaps more interestingly, the majority of the market would like to have a brighter picture and probably can suffer half the contrast loss or 2/3 the contrast loss or even 3/4 the contrast loss and not feel frustrated about that, and then keep their current product line. Don't stop their product line. There's always people that will be like Black Floor first. I mean, they're on AWS forum. They're the hardcore enthusiasts for the projector segment. But there is I'm watching it on the threads. There is a growing enthusiasm for that extra brightness that adds zest, that adds appeal, that like a moth to the flame, looking at a bonfire, all those things we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
That appeal is there, and there's not a product that has like say even 10,000 to 1 native contrast, but still a bunch of lumens, unless you go into the very expensive boutique stuff.
Yeah, I think the sweet spot is like 10,000 to 1, where I'm at 5,000 to 1, and I've stopped caring. Like it does not bother me anymore. I could notice, like if I go look at my OLED after watching the Griffin, I notice that it's blacker, but I don't care. Like it does not bother me. Now, if I go dimmer, I will absolutely notice and it'll break the immersion for me. There's not enough dark scenes. I watch a lot of content. I've watched a lot of content over the weekend. Speaking of which, Alien Earth, fantastic.
Oh yeah, you're liking it.
Oh, it's so much better than Romulus.
Really? I liked Romulus.
Maybe I need to rewatch Romulus. I didn't hate Romulus. It just didn't feel alien to me. Alien Earth feels it like Aliens. And I enjoyed it. I've only watched one episode, so maybe I'll hate it during episode 2.
What streaming service was it on again?
On Hulu.
Oh.
So
well, yeah, you could pay $150 a year for Disney, or you could pay for Hulu, or you can get everything for $3 a month, or whatever kind of promotion they're running. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
I don't know. We had to deal with commercials, and I wasn't very happy about it.
That's not great in a horror flick.
No, I mean it's not. Aliens has never been about horror for me. It's classified as horror, but it's more sci-fi, kind of thriller-esque. It's never felt horror to me, at least. I think you could watch Alien Earth and not.
I probably could. I enjoyed the Alien Romulus movie, and that's.
Oh yeah, you could absolutely watch Alien Earth. Then you're fine. You're fine.
I'm gonna text my daughter and tell her to let the dog outside. She's barking bad.
But 10,001 I feel like is the sweet spot. Like if I could get a modded lens on the Griffin. Thanks, love. Talking to my wife, not you, Jonathan. Think what you want. But I think 10,001, 300 nits, there's no going back from that. There's no seeing that and then going and saying, oh, well, I'm okay with something else. No, that's the new benchmark, I think. And 5,001 to me is good enough, but 10,000, I mean, anything above that is great. Now, I will say that at Cedia, there's going to be an Eclipse there. So I'm interested to see, because we're going to, I hope, have some time to play with it, see what the different contrast levels look like and how much we're actually able to tell, because the room's not going to be velvet. Like it's just not. So are we going to be able to tell how much of a difference is it going to make? We're going to be able to push out the huge amounts of brightness. I'm interested to see that. So we were talking, you brought up this.
I still haven't seen an Eclipse. That's what I'm really looking forward to seeing some point.
Well, they're cool. They're cool. I'm going to turn off my camera because I'm going to eat because I'm starving, but I will be here.
Okay. Well, I will tell you what I've watched recently. We were going to watch Superman, and I think we still plan to. We didn't make it over to Ryan's house this week. Our little group that we kind of have to do this.
Yeah.
Succumbed to other scheduling issues and didn't.
Jonathan cheaped out on me.
No, I didn't. I was the one person that was like, let's do it. And then we just didn't make it happen. Scheduling.
Yeah.
We have a group of 4 or 5 of us that would like to kind of watch movies more regularly, and we just couldn't make it do it. So we'll try it maybe this next week coming or something. I don't know.
I won't be here.
Oh, well, then we'll get pushed back, I guess. At any rate, we do plan to watch the new James Gunn Spider-Man. We'll see how that unfolds for our opinions. But I've been watching this movie called Arcane. I watched it a few years ago on the JVC RS 2100, and I really, really like the show. Like, it's a fantastic show.
I need to watch it.
And I thought that the black levels and stuff were appealing on the RS 2100. Like, it was an enjoyable. It's got great sound. It's got great animation. Like, just fantastic. So I watched the first 2 episodes on the QL 3000. Looked fantastic again. In fact, perhaps preferable to my memory, which is several years old, but very specifically in the second episode of season 1, there is a, if you will, like a training scene where they're shooting paintball guns effectively in a black light. And here's where something really kind of piqued my interest. I don't remember that scene. I remember several scenes in the show being very notable in the RS 2100, but I don't remember that scene being in particular. And this scene was in particular very interesting on the QL 3000. And it was simply because the highlights in that black light, like the neon edges in the black light on the animation, were jaw-droppingly gorgeous with all that extra lumen.
To me, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
When that stuff comes in.
Yeah, because I'm like 375 nits on my screen with that QL 3000 at full bore with those highlights, and they are just so much brighter than your traditional projector. So much brighter, and it really is like engaging and appealing, and kind of, I rewound it. That's going to be a demo clip for me now. I'm going to make a cut of that because it's so good. So I haven't noticed anything in there, not one scene where I thought the black levels weren't good enough, and I have noticed things where that brightness really appeals, like eye candy.
Well, I look at it as humans are creatures of light. We want to be in the light. We're built to be out in the sun. We need to be in the sun, just human nature. So I think we're naturally attracted to light. And if you can put that out there, it's what we want. Subconsciously. It's what we're driven to. I mean, torch mode. Everybody wants the brightness. There is a subset of, we want the blacks. And yes, I do. And I think it is best to have both. But I think it's good enough at a certain level for black floor. And then the more we can get for color volume and brightness, the better it's going to be, I think.
So Ryan asked, do I have the 4K HDR Atmos level of Netflix? Honestly, I don't even know right now. I switch back and forth. I seem like I turn it off and then I turn it back on if there's a particular series that I want to watch in Atmos and so forth, and then turn it off. At this moment, it doesn't matter. I haven't watched it on the Netflix for a long time. This is a physical disc retail copy, and that's what I'm watching on right now. I don't remember what I watched it in several years ago on the RS-2100, but probably the 4K HDR, because usually when I find something I really like, I do engage the higher quality.
Do you think that it could be that you watched it on streaming previously and now you're watching it on physical disc?
Yeah, I mean that's fair game. I didn't have the disc until just this last week or two, but I don't have the RS-2100 to test. But I could throw it in the NZ500, which I'd like. I like the NZ500 better than I like the RS-2100, so that should be reasonably similar. What I remember from the RS-2100 really liking, for those that have seen the show, if you haven't seen the show, it probably doesn't. This isn't gonna. So I won't waste a lot of time here because it won't even mean anything to you. But there's some scenes with this kind of like the villain has some sort of chemical transitional thing that turns people into some sort of abomination. And it's always really dark scenes with him. He's got a glowing eye that's kind of supernaturally glowing. And he's got this purple goo, if you will, that they injected into the creatures, mice, humans, whatever. And it turns them into an abomination. And that I remember really standing out on the JVC as being spectacular because the blacks were super black and the purple was super purple and real vivid and everything. And there's multiple scenes in this show. I haven't watched season 2. There's season 2 now as well. But multiple scenes in this show that are like demo worthy. I just don't particularly remember that particular paintball scene being demo worthy in the past. And now it certainly is. So fantastic audio. It's only 5.1, but fantastic audio. Like from the sound of the storms, even. I have rain scenes a lot, and the thunderclaps are rolling across. Now I'm up mixing, but the thunderclaps are rolling across the ceiling. The rain's very convincing. The sound artist on this deserves all the stars he can get. Like they just did a fantastic job. So my highest recommendation, Arcane. If you get a chance, pick that up. You'll love it.
I will have to watch that. For some reason, I haven't watched it yet. So there's a couple questions about the Eclipse. Nicola Lorimir says, "What's the point of seeing an Eclipse if it's not in your budget? No thanks to see what I'll never have." The reason I want to see it is because it puts into perspective what matters. Right? It's the culmination of everything that is possible, and it's the direction I think the industry is kind of headed, where they're pulling everything together that they can in order to make as good of an image as they can put forth. So my question, and the reason I posed it, was mainly to see, do I really care as the black floor increases to these insane numbers? Because the Eclipse, if you put it in a fully black room, it's bordering on infinite to one. I mean, it is an amazing projector. It's not these like what a lot of these other manufacturers are saying of how they do infinite. And it's not that they're wrong. It's just that this one, it kind of really is in its own way. So I'm just eager to see, because I said earlier, my thing is 5,000 to 1, and I'm happy. Am I going to ruin myself seeing it? And I want to know. I do want to know, because it's possible, and we do these streams to provide objective data and insight. So I want to see it so we can relay it all back to you so that we can determine, is there a benefit in this pursuit, or are we okay with adequate native contrast in black floor and gaining things in ANSI and brightness? That's what I want to know. And that's why it's important. As far as cost, I think its MSRP is over $300,000. She's a big boy, but it's what the Dolby Vision theaters use commercially. It's that projector.
Are they, by the time you're all said and done with lens and everything, like, are they getting up to 450 in that range? I think
so. Yeah.
And they have probably different lumen count, like some of the other Christies, or not? Like, can you get different stages of it, or is it just a single lumen count?
I think the Generation 3 is somewhere in It's over 30,000. There's a production sample that I've seen that is in the 20s, but I think the actual, I don't quote me on this, I don't know, is 30 something like the Griffin is. It has a detached chiller and it's a lot more complicated of a projector, and it is bigger substantially, but it is also more expensive.
These things are enormous, guys. If you haven't seen pictures of them, look them up online. They're like the size of a small Japanese car or something.
They're not that big.
They're very large.
They're very big. Like if you took a standard desk that most people sit behind, even an executive desk, that's about how big it is. It's not a small unit. It's big. And they require projection rooms or being able to put the chiller somewhere where it's not going to impose a problem. So, did you watch anything else? Any other content?
I know I listened to some music this time around, this week one night for a couple hours. I didn't really find anything brand new. Just kind of enjoying some old stuff. We've been going to music in the park. This is a little off topic, but not really. We've been going to music in the park each Friday night, each Sunday night in Blue Springs through the whole summer. They have like live bands that bring their own PA gear and set up in the park and play. That's been kind of fun. Nothing ever sounds that clean there. Like I don't think it's like high end professional setups, but there'll be variants from different companies. Different PA gear, different amounts of subs and whatnot. This last band was real fun. They had a lot of good music. Everything from modern stuff, where they're like the whole band was all like 60 years old, that type of range. They played old 19s. Here, I got a funny story for you. We're walking over there with my daughter, and the musician, the lead singer, says, "Now we're going to bring you back to like the 1970s, and this rock hit from da da da." And I say to my daughter, 1970s, like 50 years ago. And then I said, and I was born in 1979.
Oh,
So it's
no.
it's like this disconnect where you think like that's really
Oh.
old music, and then you realize I was born in that era. I don't know if that started happening to you yet, but it's happening to me now
It's
that I'm in
happening.
midlife. It's like, what? Wow. Okay.
It's happening. Yeah. I mean, the 80s were coming up on 40 years ago.
Sure.
So it's, oh man.
So
Just
yeah, I mean
reminded
that
me.
was enjoyable. They played everything from like Backstreet Boys to the old 1970s rock. So they
That's
had a
cool.
big variety, and it was fun. Live music out there. We went with some church friends and all sat around, ate some food, and visited. It was a great time.
That's nice. But I wish we had time to go do that. We've been so busy with kids' activities that it's just, and I don't mind it. I think it's great. I love going to see the kids' stuff.
Mhm.
But being able to go do that would be nice. There was a question. Chris Cameron asked, "Are you guys?" Because we've been talking about Cedia. Are you guys coming to Cedia? Any advice for a newbie? I will be at Cedia. Jonathan was supposed to go and then bailed on me. Just a terrible
We were
friend.
talking about going, and there was radio silence for like months, and so I thought, well, we're not going. And then,
I mean, I
like
was going regardless.
a week and a half before, like, hey, Bob pipes up, "Hey, are we
Yeah.
going?" Like, "I'm going," he
Bob's
says.
fault.
Ah,
Bob's fault.
well, a little more advanced notice.
Yeah. So I will be there. I go every year for the industry side of things because I work for a vendor. I help people set up rooms. I do a lot there. I'll be out there almost a week ahead of time building rooms, and then I'll be out there a couple days after the show ends tearing down. As far as what to do if you're a newbie, just take it all in and go slow. Don't try and rush through it. You can rush through it just like you can in an amusement park very quickly, but you want to just go slow, spend times at each of the booths, get to take in all of the demos, ask questions. But the other thing is realize that if you're an end user, and I say this, I don't say this with any disrespect. I just want people to understand that if you're an end user, this show is designed for vendors to talk to dealers. It's not designed for vendors to talk to end users. While yes, they will do it, recognize that, and I'm just looking out for other vendors, that everybody's spending a ton of money in order to be there. It is an egregious amount of money in order to have all of the drayage and freight and setup and all of that stuff from the companies that are putting the show on. So I guess in a roundabout way, I'm just saying, understand that you are not their prime target during this show. Take that for what you will, but it is definitely a vendor show. There are very few end users there. Some dealers do bring end users to see certain things, but there's not a lot of end users. Maybe they opened it up to the public this year. I don't know. But traditionally, it's been a very vendor to dealer focus, business to business focus in order to grow the ROI. But go slow. There's a lot of cool stuff to see. I'll be over at the sound rooms. You'll know what those are when you get there. Brian Cobb asks, Jonathan, are you still planning on testing your QL3000 with a MadVR core?
Yeah, Ryan's probably going to loan one to me. We haven't figured out a timetable, but could try it. Let you know. It'll be in the future.
See what you think. I think it'll make a difference. There was a Haterade Cowboy just did a video on QL7000, I think, with a MadVR.
Yes?
I have not watched it, but I think he did. So I can't weigh in anything on it, but I think he did a video on it. So
it seems like I've seen the QL7000 kind of making the rounds on YouTube again, or maybe not again for the first go round. Like these different kind of YouTube home theater guys are getting them in now and previewing them, demoing them out for a few
I'm blaming
days.
you.
Well, I don't have anything to do with that, but I think it's neat to see.
I mean, we're talking about how important brightness is.
Mm-hmm. Not
that anybody actually listens to us.
Well, I mean, you see it on the forums where people who try it, they see the difference too.
Yeah, I fully agree with it. I think it's awesome. Only drawback to the QL7000 is, well, there's a few, but native contrast, ANSI isn't all that great, and the color volume isn't fantastic, but it seems that the brightness just kind of makes all that stuff matter less.
Mm-hmm.
I never would have thought that. But we've put that into practice with the test at Ryan Kramer's. NZ set 900 against the QL7000, in my opinion, did not change.
And the Bravia 9.
Yes.
The boot. So yeah. three flagships.
Yeah. True. You had another topic.
Oh. McFadden just says that Phil Jones still might work for Sound United. He's been posting some new YouTube training videos. I didn't know he still worked there. It's kind of surprising, actually.
Maybe he does. Don't know. Did you have another topic? You said you had a couple.
That's all for now. We can move on to the questions. And I starred some and you starred some.
Okay. Well, I went back up to the top, so as you see more come in, star them.
Sure.
TG74 says, was curious. Does it matter if on REW you calibrate reference to 75 or 85?
There's a lot of little idiosyncrasies to this question.
There are.
REW doesn't have a built-in like SPL meter in the sense of like calibrating, and maybe the cal files on the new one does, but the old REW you had to have an SPL meter to even know what you were measuring.
Yeah.
To like calibrate the software.
Yeah, because the calibration mic doesn't know what volume it's measuring. You have to tell it. And you have to calibrate it. And the only way to calibrate it is with another source. And that other source needs to be a known source of whatever it's outputting. So typically you would use a microphone calibrator, which I have one for calibration mics somewhere. You would use it, and then you would play a known tone that is X volume, and then you would adjust the gain on the audio interface, or in this case, if you were using a USB microphone, on the gain on the computer, in order to adjust and establish an SPL and calibrate that microphone. But without that, you're not really going to be able to do that.
Yeah, and then to complicate it a little bit further, depending on what type of receiver you have, if you're using the internal test tones, they're going to be potentially different. So like Denon and Yamaha, Marantz, Onkyo, they calibrate a reference test tone built into them is at 75 dB because they use a 10 dB offset. And then it does the calculation internally. So you would set it to 75 there, and then the receiver internally offsets the 10 so that we've talked about this before. The purpose being that if you had like low quality speakers and you try to put an 85 dB test tone to it, potentially you could damage a tweeter or something. So they lower it to 75 dB just so people don't complain it's too loud as they're setting up the test tones and whatnot. So if you have a boutique receiver or something that uses 85 dB, you'd have to read in your manual and figure out which one your internal test tones are to know that too. So besides the original mic setup, your internal test tones may be offset differently.
Not only that, but it's also important to understand that all content is not mastered at the same level.
True.
So what if reference on one is not going to be reference on another? You may have the same volume and one piece of content may be 10 dB down and another one may be 10 dB up. So you've got to play with the volume in order to equalize things, and note that it's not just some level playing field.
And then even different streaming services from the same content can vary.
Yeah.
Like Apple TV varies from Amazon Prime, and if you watch the same thing, or Apple Music varies from the other premium music service that you choose.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I view reference at just it's a great benchmark to know that your system can do it without a problem.
Mhm.
Don't get caught up in it. This is how you need to watch content, because that's not the reason we bring it up. It's simply a reference to note, can my system play at this level without issue, with minimal distortion, with minimal clipping, and so on? And if it can, you know you're in a good place. But don't get caught up on this metric thinking that this is how the industry is, because it's not. This is just the reference factually that we use is just from THX. It's not something that every studio is beholden to. It's just what we've utilized as a benchmark to try and get everybody's system kind of on a same playing field. That does not mean that that's where every watching experience is going to exist. Like, where do you typically watch, Jonathan? You're probably 10 dB down.
I'm more 6 to 8 down anymore. If my whole family's in here, my wife especially, we'll watch at -12. I might scoot it up to -10 over the course of the evening. But if it's just my kids, we watch at -6 and -8. And then for scenes, if it's something particularly great, we'll watch it at 0, replay the scene at 0,
Okay.
in the movie, that kind
After
of thing.
you've changed
Reference,
the
true.
vectors.
Yeah. After no, because the reference makes it all come alive.
Yes.
I just think you have to be aware of the caveats that we talked about. Not that reference doesn't have value. I think it absolutely does.
It does.
But there's a lot of caveats to it and a little bit of learning that you must partake in.
I typically watch it -8, somewhere between -10 and -8.
Frontier Acoustics TJ74 has a really great article on reference. You can go to their website and look it up. Frontier Acoustics. Give that a read.
Yeah, Gary Pye, this is exactly it. The funny thing about reference is that if you have speakers that go there, it sounds so clean and crisp, you don't notice it. The bad speaker will make your ears hurt. You're right. It's the distortion. Yeah. Clean speakers can be dangerous because it's like you're at a rock concert in your theater and your ears aren't really great at telling you over those not ridiculously prolonged listening sessions that you're damaging them. The ear follicles in your ears are not screaming loud enough for your brain to hear it. They're just being drowned out by all of the reference goodness.
And then another thing, Blackjack79 brings it up to a degree, is that, and Ryan Kramer's brought it up in the past as well. He's on the chat as well. Just that compression and the loudness wars and so forth have changed reference as well, because you don't have the dynamic peak so much. Everything's compressed into a smaller range of SPL and then boosted up to to the limiters. So reference for music can be louder than reference would be for movies, for instance.
Yep. I agree. It's a great point. Great point. Good question. I saw that TG, I know you said it was, let's just answer this question. TG follows up, says, sorry, my mistake. I'm using a UMic, a UMM6. I don't know what that is. And it's cal file, then use REW test tone and set my Anthem AVR master volume to 0.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like the right way. Is he supposed to use 75 or 85? Um, if you're doing your Anthem to 0, then you should, and you're using the REW test tones, then wouldn't you use 85? I'm not an REW guy. I use OmniMic, but I think that's got to be what it is. Yeah, so it says right here the Anthem uses 85 for their calibration tone. So they would be more on that boutique side where they're using the higher traditional thing. Now you're using REW test tone, you're saying. But you could kind of balance this out and do a test to some degree of accuracy by using the internal Anthem test tone and seeing where that measures when your receiver's at 0, your master volume's at 0. See if that's at near 85. It might not be exact. If it's 83 or 87 or whatever, it's probably close enough to get that idea. And then see if your REW is in that same ballpark. We talked about this on a podcast in the past. I've got several discs that have test tones, Disney Wow and the Spear and Munsell, and then like a DVD Silver something or other. And I got out my SPL meter and I tested them all with the exact same settings on my receiver, and they weren't identical. There were a few dB separating them, even though they were like industry disc releases for calibration. So like even among the disc designed for this, there was a few dB here difference here or there, which is kind of disappointing, but it is what it is.
JTB, I have a Fozzy amp and 2 transducers. Can I just use a Y splitter from my sub to the Fozzy amp, or should I use another sub port? I have a Denon 3800. If I use another port, do I have to recalibrate Odyssey? I have a Fozzy amp and 2 transducers. Okay, so he's using the sub out and then Y splitting, one going to the sub and the other going to the Fozzy amp and the transducers. Right?
Yeah, I don't think he wants to do that. Because
no, you don't.
Well, almost certainly, it took me a second to understand what he's talking about. But if you're Y daisy chaining your subwoofer, that's making the audio energy to your transducer that's making the tactile energy, the timing will not be the same, and you won't like the results.
Well, not only will the timing not be the same, the EQ,
right,
it's not going to be great for the transducers.
Right.
So you definitely want to use the other port, but even then, Odyssey's not going to calibrate correctly for the transducers. Does the transducer or butt kicker option in Odyssey work?
Yeah, but it doesn't even let you set timing, which is a giant pain in the rear end. What you're going to want to do is buy the $20 app for the Denon 3800, the iPhone app or the Android app, whatever you have. And you're going to run Odyssey. You probably won't even be able to spit out sound to that. Like the Denon receiver will say there's nothing attached because the transducers won't make enough noise for it to register as being a sub out.
Yeah.
It makes it all very complicated. Which is one of the reasons that it's just easier not to run EQ for this purpose. But you might have to do something silly like in the middle of the thing, disconnect and connect your single subwoofer to both channels, and then use the audio app to curtain off the auto EQ application to that subwoofer too, and just drop it to 0 so it doesn't, like you can change the EQ applies, just drop it all the way down to the left so that it doesn't apply an EQ to your second sub out. You might have some obstacles to jump through with that. If you don't have like a secondary sub you can use just temporarily as you run that, or just don't run EQ and it will be much easier to set up because it won't be trying to find out if you have those, and you can just set it up in the amp assign.
As Jonathan says, just get rid of all the hard things that get in the way. Just throw them away and ignore them.
The easiest way for him to do this, because I'd have to probably try to like read up and figure out how you would do that without, because you're not going to be able to juggle that sub fast enough.
You won't.
Because you would have to like in the 3-second pause before it moves to the next speaker, you'd have to like juggle that RCA cable. Good luck with that. What you're probably going to want to do, man, is this is how I run mine anyway. I know this works great. If you bought a mini DSP for $200, I'll direct you to a video at the end of this that will give you information on this that Sheldon and I put together. You run your subwoofer into a mini DSP. You put a delay on your sub so that when you run Odyssey, it calculates in that delay and it gives you a little bit of negative headroom, if you will, because the sub's delayed. So now you have that little bit extra buffer. And your second output from that goes to the tactile transducers from the mini DSP. And then you have some negative delay, if you will, like some extra headroom to play with for time alignment. And you can dial that in perfectly to get that time alignment, because traditionally you want your tactile transducers to fire before the subwoofer. And so you need that extra little bit of delay to play with. So put like a 6 millisecond delay on the sub feed it into the mini DSP. Subwoofer 1 output feeds the actual physical sub. Give it a 6 millisecond delay on the mini DSP, and then you have 6 milliseconds worth of headroom to play with on subwoofer output 2 for the mini DSP that you feed to your tactile transducers. And then if there's EQ applied, you can work around it because there's filters and so forth for subwoofer 2 you can apply. This is going to be some experimentation for you. Go out to ABS forum, read on the tactile transducer thread, learn how some of the guys are directing you. There's a video we have called Tactile Base Setup. You can look on my channel for that. There's like an hour-long overview where Sheldon and I talked how we did it and had pictures and illustrations and full walkthrough. So you can get a lot of information there, but there's going to be some playing in your future to get this dialed in right.
Jonathan's messed with it a lot.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to try it, see what it's like, make a correction.
So on the subject of reference, I see Paul A in the comments. While we're here, he says, John, you said you listen at -6 or -8. Is this your Marantz calibrated so 0 is 75? Was that an issue with such sensitive speakers and applies to a lot of trim? Yes, my 0 is 75 with the internal test tones. And that's the way Marantz designs it. So they're doing that offset to make it 85 in content. Their test tone is just 10 dB down for you to do your calibration. That's the way Odyssey calibrates it. That's the way it is if you don't use Odyssey. When I check when I check with 0 and I play back one of those discs that I have, that's like I talked about the industry, the WoW Disney disc or the Spears and Munsell, the registration on those discs is like 82 to 87, 83 to 87, that type of range. Yep. Based on what frequencies they're playing back and interactions in your room, the nulls, modes, all that kind of stuff at all. Because we're in a room and you got all those artifacts of the sound getting to your seat, you don't have a flat, perfect response because of the room interactions. And so you're not going to get exactly the same thing because the test tones aren't exactly the same frequency. Yep. Even if they're bandwidth limited pink noise, where it's like a certain range, the pink noise isn't always the same range. Some of them might be around 500 hertz, some of them might be 1,000 hertz, some of them might be like 800 to 1,200 hertz, that kind of thing. And so you get a little bit of different variance on your output. Did that explain that clearly? In my head, it was clear. Okay.
Yeah, you got it. Adam asks, do you see a big benefit buying a sealed Rhythmic F18 or other D2C made sub versus DIY? Direct to consumer.
Customer?
Yeah. Versus DIY.
Adam, I think the difference here, Ryan, if you can speak too, but the difference here would be that some of that stuff we're just talking about with the complication as far as calibration and PEQ and all that stuff, the vendor is taking care of some of that with the direct to customer. Like they're putting limiters in place so you don't overdrive the driver. They're putting in some shelf that would, lift up the lower end if it's necessary for the sealed's native or for the subwoofer's native response. They're putting in a high pass filter if it's port. Like they're protecting their product and making it have the response they want. Whereas if you get like do it yourself, you do that yourself. And if you don't do that, you could end up damaging your equipment, specifically your subwoofer. To some degree, depends on how you plot your course, but that's what you're paying for. Besides the margin and the profit and the fact that they're making a product that has a warranty and all those things, you're paying for the expertise in that.
Yeah. You're paying for a plug and play solution. Mm-hmm. You're trading, and this is what a lot of people don't think about, your time, which is worth something, mm-hmm. for money and paying for somebody else to do it. Sometimes it's a beneficial decision. Sometimes it's not. Which side of that coin you fall on is different for every person. Mm-hmm. Typically, the price for performance part of the equation is going to exist on the DIY side. You're going to get more bang for your buck on that side because you're not having to pay every step of the journey that a product has to make, including marketing and people's salaries and transportation and shipping and the product itself and manufacturing and all different kinds of stuff. You're not having to pay for that, but you're also not getting, in some cases, the benefit of quantity. So saving monies through quantity, and they can drive the price down from purchasing more of a specific thing before it goes into a particular product. So you've just got to find what makes the most sense in your situation, whatever that product may be, and then go from there.
And Adam, if you're asking specifically about performance differences, there won't be that much performance difference between a high quality, like do it yourself sub that you'd purchase and a high quality rhythmic product, for instance.
No.
So, you have to weigh out what your time's worth and what the cosmetics are worth, because a lot of times do it yourself doesn't have the same look
Nope.
as, like a professionally cabinet grade type subwoofer. So, yeah.
Good question. Danny Smith, are there any special considerations for a long, narrow room? My room is 12 by 29, and I have viewing distance of about 8 feet to a 77-inch OLED. Sound is 744, and the rest of the room is multi-purpose. If you're dealing with subs, you need to pressurize the entire space. If that's what you're trying to do. You can't just pressurize the small area that the couch and the TV exists in. The room volume is the room volume. There's no way around that. I like that you're sitting close to a 77 instead of some people being 15 feet away from a 77-inch OLED. That always boggles my mind. It's like their primary viewing and they're half mile away from their display.
He's sitting so close, 8 foot. Do you have room for wides in a situation like that? Maybe not. Pretty tight.
I think in a room that narrow, you probably do. But I guess it depends on the dispersion of his speakers. If they're wide enough, I don't think it's going to be any benefit.
So if he puts his surrounds, I would say don't put your surrounds in the back of the room 29 foot back. You know what I mean? Like, just don't, there's no point in that.
Yeah.
Because what are you doing with the rest of the space unless you want like 4 rows or something? For a 77-inch OLED, that wouldn't even make sense.
No.
I think in a small setup like that, you probably don't need as many speakers as, 744. That's not overdoing it.
No.
That's fine.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
You're going to run into a tough situation of where do you put the backs if you use backs instead of wides.
I think I just put them at like 130 to 150 degrees like Dolby Spec does on the wall and not put them in the back of the room. There's no reason to put them in the back of the room, I don't think, with that logo of space and how forward you're sitting.
Something I was thinking, and Ryan Kramer actually just brought this up, is if you don't want to utilize all of that space, and maybe you are, eat up some of that space behind the TV with acoustic treatments.
On both ends of the room, you can do that.
And in the very back, yeah. If you can. If you can't, I get it. But my room is... How long is my room? 28 feet long. Same length.
It's like 7 feet long. After you put all the acoustic treatments in there.
14. There's 14 feet of acoustic treatments. Ah. You mean normal people don't do that, Jonathan?
No, that's not normal.
Okay. So that would help immensely. But I think you're doing it right. You're sitting close to the 77. You're not going overboard on speakers. You're not trying to jam a bunch of stuff in there when it's not ideal. More subs.
If it sounds like he's still kind of planning this out. Is that true, Danny? Are you still planning this out? And if you are, I am not even necessarily opposed in a smaller space like that with a single row, assuming a single row, to have just 2 ceiling speakers. You might find that's adequate for a single row, and you place them not directly overhead, but a little bit forward and overhead, and that is great placement. And 2 ceiling speakers will do a lot for you in a small listening area like that.
Yep, could be a good space. MW says, what do you think of the new Ascendo Halo speaker, 10-inch coaxials, and the 6 8-inch drivers and cardioid? Have you seen those?
I haven't.
They're on Facebook. You should go look them.
Brand new announcement?
Yes. I mean, I knew they were coming. It's a brand new announcement consumer-wise. They'll be at Cedia. It's a very shallow depth behind the screen kind of speaker. I've never seen a speaker like them. It's a center... It's like a coaxial with multiple speakers. It's pretty cool looking. Kind of looks like an alien head. But I get to see it.
Do you have a link on your fingertips? You can pull it up and share?
Let me see if I can find one.
Because you say on Facebook. Like, I think our
it was.
Facebook are probably dramatically different. Depending on what groups we're in and stuff.
I don't know if I'm going to find it. It was on Facebook. What do you mean? That's not good enough, Jonathan?
I just pulled up Facebook and there are you and I, our mugs on your little channel streaming right now.
Oh no.
It's infinite mirror.
No. I don't know. Let me see if search finds it.
I can move on to the next question while you pull.
Oh, I found it. I got it. I found a picture of it. See if Chrome will let me share this though. Not a Chrome tab. Window. Oh, you turd. It's going to make me probably restart.
If he restarts, folk, it's crackly mic time. You pick what you want. Do you want to see the speaker or do you want a crackly mic?
I'll be back.
Oh, man, no. All right, let me go back to the pinned comments. We'll come back to this one. So Miguel says, you guys think mixing one sealed 24 and 132 will work? Yeah, absolutely. Sealed subs are very generous to each other. They usually will work together as long as there's not any DSP built on the amp that's applying some sort of shelf that would cause some sort of DSP interaction or whatnot, like with phase changes. But if you're especially if you're just doing do-it-yourself subs and so forth, and you mix two sealeds, it'll work perfectly. Look at you came back fast. Your reboot is like on a VM or something.
I didn't have to reboot the computer. I had to just reboot the browser. So that's the speaker.
What in the world?
Yeah. Look at that thing.
I think I saw that on Star Wars.
It's one of the Empire's flagships. Yeah. That's it.
Now, are those all the same drivers in the array around the 6 drivers? Are they all the same thing?
Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about it outside of that. That's it.
Okay, so it's very shallow, you said?
Yes. It's meant to go behind screens when you don't have enough room for something like a Swan. So it's...
Tell me those drivers are big and they're not like little 2-inch drivers or something.
They're 8s.
Okay.
It's not small.
I could be interested in hearing this.
Yeah. It's I mean, Ascendo made it. It's going to be enormous. It's not this little piddly thing. It's
like the size of a chocolate chip cookie.
But it's maybe they're 8s, maybe they're 6s, maybe they're 6s, but they're not small.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have 6 of them, I mean, that's a good amount of surface area for doing what you need to do. So that's it. Won't spend a lot of time on it because I don't know anything about it. That's the extent of what I know.
Interesting. Halo speaker. So, I mean, is that like their top of the line type of in-wall offering?
Yep.
Oh.
It is. It's the flagship. It's not replacing the Swan. It's for instances where you don't have room for a Swan. So, on to your question that you were graciously answering as I left.
I think I already answered it.
Oh,
okay. Play nicely together, and he doesn't have anything to worry about in that regard.
I mean, well, they play nicer together. I won't say it's all fairy tales and rainbows. There are some phase changes and stuff that occurs that you may run into problems with.
Depending on the amplifier employed, if you're doing it yourself, you should be able to mix sealed subwoofers fine.
Yeah.
If you're buying it from a vendor, sometimes they'll put a high pass filter on there that's a shallow shelf in order to roll it off the bottom end so they don't have them blow up by customers who abuse them. And in that case, you could have phase issues. But if you buy high quality sealed subs, usually they've made the box mate to the driver, and so they don't have to use as much HPF, as far as DSP, digital signal processing, and then eliminating it with air volume, that kind of stuff, and not enough amplifier power to blow it up. So generally speaking, they should play nicely together.
Generally. Oops, sorry. Does Best Buy have the new Epsons on display? I have no idea. I would assume so. Probably not the QL series, though.
Do we even have a Magnolia around here? I don't think we do. Lawrence might be the closest one. Is that right?
There was a Magnolia in Overland Park.
That closed down 20 years ago, didn't it?
No, it was there like last year. Is it gone now?
I didn't know there was one.
Yeah.
What street?
119th and Metcalf?
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's still there. There's a Best Buy there.
I'm looking that up. I don't believe you.
It's there.
I believe there's a Best Buy there. I don't think they have a Magnolia.
They did last year.
I'll be disappointed if that's been there the whole time and I didn't know it.
What a
I don't think that's. I'm looking it up. We will know in a second. How do I look it up? I just Googled it and the link went nowhere. Chad will probably figure it out before I do. Magnolia Help Center. Visit a store. Okay. I don't know how to look this up. I'm failing.
It's there.
I'm going to ask Grok.
It's there.
Grok will tell me and never is wrong.
It's never wrong. Yeah. AI is never wrong. Ever.
Is there a Best Buy? This is what you guys all tuned in for.
Brian Feller says last time I was there, it had a Magnolia.
Near Kansas City. I'm so disappointed if this is true. I'm going to owe you a giant touche. If it's true. Grok says there are no Best Buy stores with dedicated Magnolia centers in the Kansas City area. Sorry. You guys think you're going to Magnolia, but you're just in the cheap electronics section of a generic Best Buy. Grok is never
We're going to
wrong.
spend 30 minutes on this question.
Well, my AI says, Ryan pulls out a different AI.
I'm going to go there and take a picture of this for you tomorrow.
Do they? I mean, does it like labeled Magnolia?
Yes. Last time I was there, they had Kef blades. They had Martin Logan 13As. They had, I don't know if the Kef and they Bowers and Wilkins. They're like not flagships, but high end stuff. They had a bunch of stuff.
It says the Best Buys in Kansas City at 2 stores may carry some Magnolia products, but they're not Magnolia centers. According to Grok right now, Grok 3, not the paid for.
Or are you talking about like the full on Magnolia?
Yes.
Like,
yes, that's what we're talking about.
Inside Best Buy or Magnolia that replaces Best Buy?
No, like Best Buy stores have like a Magnolia design center effectively, if they're like a premium theater experience.
It is at the one in Overland Park, or it was. I'll take a picture. Shut up, Grok. I'll take a picture of it tomorrow if it's still there.
Your beef is with Grok, not me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Look.
Stupid AI.
Huh.
I'm going tomorrow.
So I said I'd give you a touche, and I didn't.
I'm going tomorrow.
Sure, when I was right.
Maybe I'll owe you one, but I doubt it.
Keep that around.
Okay.
For like 2 hours. Until it washes out and I can't remember your name either. Then we'll be in trouble.
Okay.
You do have some support in the chat, so I guess we'll see.
We'll find out. I'm going, and you can. I don't know tomorrow.
Grovel.
Next time we watch Superman, you're gonna grovel at my feet. MW says, Ryan, if you're going to lift the 64 sub, who's going to pick up the other one? I'm not gonna pick up
400-pound subwoofer.
That's just for the driver. Oh, you're talking about the driver. No. I don't know. I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about rooms, so
Ryan Kramer defies Grok is what he's doing right now. This is like 2 shows in a row. AI has been wrong, according to Ryan Kramer.
It's because it is wrong.
He's like anti-AI.
It's wrong all the time.
Here, can you read this?
I don't care.
There are no Magnolias near the Kansas City area.
Yeah, but it may be thinking the real Magnolias that Best Buy bought that were in California that they integrated into.
I don't know. It's got 20 sources. 20, not just 1 or 2. Like Ryan's just 1 source. This is 20 sources.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
All right. Moving on. Not
Enough. HD 5150 says, is the compression driver in the JTR 110 HT the same as the 210 HT or the one in the 210 RM? Jeff, your speaker names are difficult to say. Being a two-way, I'm assuming the 110 HT matches more to the 210 HT, being that that's also a two-way.
I don't know, but Jeff's usually pretty good about putting like some specifics on this website. If it's not on there, you could just send him a question. I mean, I wouldn't know that really.
Send him a
Whether
message.
he uses the same compression driver,
I don't know.
I don't know either.
You
There's
got
a giant JTR thread on AVS forum, like thousands and thousands of posts long.
That'd
Those
be
guys in there avid, they probably know. You could just ask on the thread if you want.
That would be good. That'd be a good resource. But it's only one source, Jonathan. Grok had 20. Ask Grok. Ask Grok this question.
Grok won't know this question.
Ask Grok this question.
We're gonna lose our audience. We're gonna drop immediately.
We've established this, Jonathan. They show up for the train wreck. They don't show up for anything else. Train wreck, okay? We got blood all over our hands, all over our faces. It is an ongoing train wreck, and it is a nuclear waste site right now.
Oh man.
They're not here for education. They're here to watch the natural disaster.
Surprised they're here at all on Monday night with no notice. That's another thing that's funny.
But that's part of this stream. That's part of our charm. They have no idea when this is going to happen. No idea. It's just like a real train wreck. You have no idea when it's going to happen. And it just rolls into the station, comes across the crossing, and bam, there it is. City's on fire.
True story.
It's all Grok's fault.
I saw your message, Ryan.
Martin asks, QB1000 versus NZ500 for a 130-inch AT scope screen in a basement like Jonathan's, except some white cabinetry that reflects light. Are the extra lumens significant enough?
I really like the NZ500 in that space. I think there is a significant difference in brightness, but we talked about this like several shows. The LS12000, in my estimation, is very similar to the QB1000. I mean, we put them side by side. You can see a video on my channel where they're inconsequentially different. And keep in mind that videos and pictures usually exaggerate differences. And so what you're watching there is exaggeratory of what you see in real life to a degree.
I wouldn't say it's inconsequential. It was different. Like you could look at them side by side and it was absolutely different. But what we came to the conclusion of was if you walked out of the room and then walked back in and it was only one projector on, would you be confident in knowing which projector was on? LS12000 against QB1000. And our unanimous answer was no.
Among 3 people, 3 out of 3. The frame interpolation was better on the QB1000.
Everything was better.
It was a little bit brighter. It had better blacks. It wasn't quite as bluish or purplish on blacks.
Yep.
It had a little bit better like HDR tone mapping. It was dynamic tone mapping, but it's just a little bit better. A hint better in everything, but $3,000 difference was a tough spill.
Yeah.
A tough pill for me to swallow.
The QB1000 is technically better than the LS12000 in every way, aside from it doesn't come with the mount.
Yeah. So if you had to, and we're going down the wrong path. We understand this isn't your question, but we're going to circle back to your question. So stand with us. I would say, in my estimation, that according to my frugality and mindset, that would be worth maybe $500 or $1,000 more. Like I would feel comfortable recommending the QB1000 over the LS12000 if it was $1,000 more.
It is almost.
It's $2,000 more now, and at the time we watched that, it was $3,000 more because it was 8,000 versus 5,000. Now it's 8,000 versus 6,000.
Well, now you've got so the NZ500 is $1,500 less than the QB1000.
So now we bring it back to the NZ500.
Yes.
I think the NZ500 is a better projector. It has displaced, and I already took, I'll tell you about this in a second. I think the NZ500 has displaced the LS12000 for my recommended projector on the 5,000 tier-ish.
Depends on your use case.
Some grace either way.
Because the NZ500 is not 4K 120.
Correct. There are absolutely, I agree, 100%. There are use cases for both. But just in general, to the 80 percentile, I would say most people would probably prefer the NZ500 over the LS12000.
If you are not gaming through it,
in my estimation.
If you are not gaming through it, I would agree with that statement. If you are, it gets a little more blurred.
Yeah. And if you want HDMI CEC, there are reasons to get the LS12000. And I still really like the projector. Like I had several PMs from people like, hey, all of a sudden now you don't like Epson? No, I really still like Epson. LS12000 was a fantastic model.
What?
Like seriously,
why do people do that?
Seriously, like wait, all of a sudden you don't like Epson? No, I like Epson. I have another Epson projector. I like Epson.
I'm just going to choose what is objectively the better product.
And be honest with you,
yes,
3 years newer, and like the say now JVC. We've talked about this. We're going to spend just a moment to digest this again. One of my complaints about JVC over Epson was the intra-scene contrast, when something really bright and something really dim was on the screen at the same time. Epson did that better, and that's a lot of content. Like
yes,
probably more amount of content than what dim dark scenes are.
Oh, much more.
And the Epson did that better, like objectively better. JVC's traditionally had 200 to 1, 250 to 1 contrast on intra-scene contrast, and the Epson was more like 400, 450, 500 to 1. So almost double in scenes where it really mattered a lot, and you could see it. So if there was like a really bright white moon on the sky and then like a dark background, the Epson will look better on that kind of thing. What's changed now with the NZ500, it's the first JVC projector that has like pretty much considerable the same contrast as the LS12000. So one strong advantage that Epson had is now whittled away. The strong advantage the JVC always had was the native contrast, and that's still there. So now you've got comparable interscene, comparable low-level and knockaway low-level contrast on the JVC. And just for cinema, it's frankly now wins. So, surprise, 3 years newer, they changed the chassis. They got better interesting contrast. They made a nice advance. They don't have some of the negatives that the RS2100 had. They don't have bright corner issues anymore. Their white uniformity is better. Like the NZ500 is a nice product. And it's my go-to now at the $5,000 tier-ish. I don't hate Epson.
$6,000 to $6,500 tier.
Sure.
Now, Martin says, he's given us more information. He says, no gaming, but a lot of sports.
The Epson's going to be better for sports, period, dot.
It's brighter.
It's brighter. It's 1,300 lumens brighter, which is significant, right? 2,000 versus 3,300. And it's got better motion. So like you were bringing up gaming, sports would be in the same arena. If you throw a football or you throw a baseball and it's high speed and you want your... Man, I could show you some videos. I have them on my channel. Look up motion on the JVC. The motion's not the best. So if you're primarily sports and you want an extra brightness, then fine. Epson's a good choice. And he says Epson's a good choice regardless.
Coming from the 50/50 UB, will the NZ be bright enough?
How old is your bulb? Because out of the gate with a new bulb, the Epson will be brighter than NZ.
I think given his sports... QB. But does the NZ700 enter the equation now?
I haven't seen that, but my understanding of JVC and seeing them in many shootouts is that they're a little brighter. Like that's
what I mean. Getting the brightness back.
Yeah. I mean, like you at your 500 level, your NP5, your NX5, that's like, here's the door. And then your upgrades from there are just subtle brightness improvements. Yeah. Not much else.
Yeah. I mean, there's technically other things, but are you going to notice them? What would you do if it was sports? 130-inch screen.
So if he's telling me I am primarily sports, then I'm probably going to do the QB1000. But if he says I watch some sports and I like watching like movies, then I'm going NZ500. You're going to like either projector. Like they're both good projectors. Objectively good projectors.
Are you laughing at me?
No, I'm laughing at the comment.
Oh, there. Yeah, I saw that. That's why I crossed my arms.
The little pot stirrer right here.
Just take that down.
It's gone.
Okay. Bury it. Take it out in the backyard, shoot it, and then bury it.
Mm-hmm.
No, burn it first and then bury it. So I agree. QB1000.
Paul says, "Hey, are the bluish blacks gone on those new Epsons?" And the
No.
answer is mostly. Right? Wouldn't
They're
you say
not
mostly?
gone.
They're not gone, but better than the LS12000. At least our sample was that we saw.
Yes, it was better, but they were still there.
Faint enough that it wouldn't bother me. Wouldn't bother me, personally speaking.
Nah, you get used to them. You get used to them. I think, given your use case, Martin, QB1000. If you're concerned about really going for the nth degree, if you want to save a bit, LS12000 for that use case, I think.
Well, I mean, I think that's where my head's at. But he could buy an LS. Now, I don't know how some people think used is not like a dirty word, but he could buy an LS12000 for 3,000 or 3,500. At that point, with low hours on AVS form, there's some out there. At that point, don't you kind of do that? Like 1,000 hours on LS12000 for $3,000 or 3,500?
Are they still out there now after the price increase?
They're going up a little bit. They're shifting towards more like 3,500, but still, 3,500 versus 6,000. I'd be considering used, personally speaking.
I always worry about the warranty.
There won't be a warranty. You're right.
But find the right dealer, and you could potentially, maybe. I don't know.
Does Epson do big stocks through dealers, or do they only do it through their refurb?
Not really. Not that I've seen. I've never gotten a B stock deal through Epson. I don't know where those go.
Oh,
Projector.
I bought refurb through Epson.com. They sell refurbs directly there, but I don't know if they do dealers.
I'm not cool enough to get those. I don't have my cool hat on. Epson for sports, just better.
Now, see, he's a mixed up young man. Lots of movies, but also basketball.
You just said lots of sports. If it's a mixed case, the JVC is going to be better for movies.
Mm-hmm. You're going to like them both, Martin. We can't decide because they're both good.
They're trading blows. They're both good at different things. If you want everything, you got to spend more.
Mm-hmm. Like, I think we kind of beat this into the ground, but just real quickly. Oh, my AI camera thought I was motioning something. I thought the QB1000 was worth maybe $500 to $1,000 more than what I had, and I had the opportunity to get it and only spend about $1,000, and I passed. And that was before I ever did the NZ500 or the QL3000. So it's like in my brain, the LS2000 and the QB1000 were close enough not to really like be worried about upgrading after seeing them side by side and playing quite a bit of stuff through them. I don't really understand because I've watched some of the guys on the forum talk about how much better a projector they think the QB1000 is. It just flat out wasn't our experience when we saw them side by side.
Very
brand new out of the box.
Very few people put them side by side.
So what I'm saying is maybe he could save himself a couple $1,000. Even if it's a couple $1,000, he could potentially save himself a couple $1,000.
Get an LS12000 and put that money somewhere else in the room. Absolutely. I agree. A lot of potential there. Martin, we talked in circles. Hopefully you got some information.
We gave him no advice. Now he is more confused and crying in the corner.
We said, no, get the JVC. Get the QB. No, LS12000 sucks. Oh, actually, get the LS12000. Yeah, that's exactly how that conversation went. And then we got people in chat saying, just get an Eclipse off Temu. Yeah,
that's...
Ender Robinson. Any benefit on using a Y splitter on a single subwoofer to use both the left and right output?
No, because you want your subwoofer to play the LFE channel. And if you put it on left or right channel,
you don't want that.
You're not going to get LFE. You're going to be missing out what the director intended to go to your subwoofer. Unless you're only doing music, like purely music.
Well, what if he doesn't have a subwoofer out? What if he has to pull the bass from the left and right channel?
What if he only has a record player? I mean, what is this? What to it?
Touche. Well done. Okay. Yeah, don't do that.
Martin, that's the spirit. Now you're an approved member here on our show.
Yeah.
Look at this. Thanks for nothing.
Yes, that is. See, why do people watch this?
We like you, Martin. That's the way to
It's all
handle
for.
this.
We stood up, we spun in a circle, and we sat back down, and you got nothing but
Yeah.
watching us idiots turn
Yeah.
in circles. That's what happened. I think you swayed him towards maybe.
Isn't that the truth? You think you feel dizzy? What do you think Ryan and I feel? Holy smokes!
I was dizzy at first. My body's
Oh,
got.
look at this comment. Another one. We managed to do it again, Ryan.
Oh, Hi-Fi Finest.
Ah,
Yes, he made a decision.
thank you for the super chat, man.
Much appreciated. Thank you for the $4.99 USD. Glad I waited a couple weeks. G297 secured $9,000.
Yeah, well, that's $1,000 savings from what he was talking about the previous week. So good on him. You will like that TV an awful lot.
It's gonna suck.
Talk to Martin, see if he
see how beneficial he thinks all of this is. But yeah, that TV is going to be great, especially at $9,000. It is a lot of money to spend on a TV, but a 97 is a lot of TV, and it is an OLED, and it's going to be glorious. It's going to be glorious. I don't think there will be any regrets. Your wife might even like it, or your partner, dog, whoever may love it.
Uh-oh, Rick's calling us out, I think.
Clean slate. Would a Lumigen processor be worth it if I just use it for the tone mapping? I'm not interested in...
Make something up.
I'm not worried about managing aspect ratios or stretching LS12000s with a 16:9. So he's only doing it for tone mapping on an LS12000.
Would you believe I've only seen one Lumigen? I've seen a lot of Mad VRs.
Was it Boker's?
No. Well, if Boker has one, maybe I've seen two, but
He
it was
did.
Child's Play. He had one.
Oh. Well, you saw Mark up in Chicago. You ever been to his place?
Mark who?
I can never pronounce his last name.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. No, I haven't been to his house yet.
Oh. Yeah, he has a Lumigen.
No,
if you're just using it for tone mapping,
I made it up there.
Yes, it will be a benefit. Video processors are going to make a difference. We saw it at M-Wave the first year we did it, and it was a huge difference to what it was doing LS12000 versus not having it versus having it. It's a big difference. So I would say yes, you will benefit from it. I am trying to be agnostic. You asked about Lumigen, so I'm not going to bring anything else up.
May I remind you, Clean Slate, he works for Mad VR, so that's pretty cool that he is telling you that's cool. He's pinching his leg beneath his desk right now, trying to.
My boss may yell at me later. But we're agnostic here. We try and just provide the objective information without pushing anything specific. E4 Superfly. I noticed when I play Atmos content, then upmix it to Neural X, it changes the content to True HD. But what does it do with the data for the heights? Is it just virtualizing the bed layer into the height?
What receiver are you running E4 Superfly? Because I think that might play into your question. They shouldn't be losing the data. Originally, all these receivers, especially Denon and Marantz specifically, I probably should just limit to that. They wouldn't let you cross mix. If you had, they restricted artificially probably since it is available now. But if you had a DTS source, it had to go to DTS Neural X. And if you had a Dolby source, it had to go to Dolby Surround. And there was no cross-pollination, if you will. Customers complained because that wasn't locked down like that before Atmos and DTSX. And eventually they heard us with Denon and Marantz anyway and opened it up. I think they had to negotiate it out with Dolby and DTS to make that allowance. But they did. I was playing with that just this last week as a test. specifically with Arcane, because I wanted to see if there was any difference in the upmix. And to be quite frank, in the 15 or 20 minutes I was playing with it, I couldn't tell a difference. Now, that's not to say there will never be difference, but I couldn't tell a difference in the little quick test that I did. I know there's differences in some content. I've heard it before. There's a Netflix special called Troll Hunters that upmix differently, for instance, when I was playing with that in the past.
God, what a terrible movie.
So rarely, but sometimes I will play with that and see, and this time I didn't notice any difference.
Did you like Troll Hunters?
Am I thinking of the same thing you're thinking about? I'm thinking about an animated one
No.
that was like Tales of Arcadia or something like that.
Maybe I'm just thinking of Troll. I don't know. That was a bad movie. We're thinking about different movies then.
I'm looking up mine to make sure I'm saying the right name. Yeah, mine was Troll Hunters, Tales of Arcadia. I think I know what you're talking about. There's like a graphic with a giant troll chasing two people. That's called Troll Hunter, which instead of Troll Hunters, I can see what happened there. One S got us. Which, by the way, Troll Hunters, Tales of Arcadia is a really fun show, especially if you've got kids that enjoy that kind of thing. Kind of I think a modern Lord of the Rings style, epic, fun stuff. It's pretty fun.
Okay. I'll have to maybe give that a watch.
Your kids
What?
Your kids would like it.
Maybe.
Yeah, they would. And the sound is fun.
Okay.
Video picture's fun.
We'll have to give that a try. Andrew Robinson gave us a follow-up on the RCA. He says, yes, I'm talking about the input on the back of the sub using Y-splitter on back of sub input. No, you're not going to get any benefit from that. So he's not talking about using both sub outs on the receiver into a sub. He's talking about both sub inputs and splitting the sub signal.
No, I don't see that would help him.
No, it doesn't. Rick Valenzuela. I know you both like white screens, but I saw a slate screen, and when the lights were off, the black bars were black. I couldn't see them. What are the trade-offs of going slate? Well, there's no if. It's you're sacrificing your white point. If it's linear, you're linearly changing. You're just skewing everything down. If it's not, it gets a little more gross than that, but white is neutral. So if you put in a gray screen or a slate screen in this case, you're sacrificing your white point. It's no longer white. So if you value your blacks, sure. If not, and you want something neutral, go white. I am looking for a gray woven screen, so I'm not opposed to gray. My current one is white. The problem with a lot of gray screens when you go that direction is you sacrifice even more light. Unless you're trying to get ambient light rejection, which I think I'd blind myself if I had that in the screen. Jonathan, you too. That would be bad. We'd have just rainbows everywhere. Be like a dance party. Mila, last question. What are the pros and cons of Kaleidescape? You want me to answer that, or you want to answer it?
You can answer it.
Okay. So pro and con. I think a lot of people talk about Kaleidescape in the wrong way. And I think the marketing is kind of wrong in Kaleidescape. A lot of marketing is done for it being better. And in some cases it is. There is some content that it is better. It's not as widespread as people may want you to believe, but in some it is better because they're not restricted. They're not constrained by physical media and the amount of data that it can contain. There are some pressings of content that are just better on Kaleidescape that they get from the source, from the studios that they provide them. They're just better. They get potentially certain specific mezzanine files that they can encode that may be better. How I look at it, though, is all things being even, you should not be buying Kaleidescape because it is potentially fidelically better. You buy it because of convenience. if you buy it on the premise that everything is better and you look at it objectively and you compare it to physical media, you will be disappointed and you will have buyer's remorse. I can almost promise you that. You should buy it for convenience. You buy it so that you don't have to deal with physical media. I'm not saying that physical media is bad. It's just I like having the movie wall. I like being able to look at my phone and be like, I want this movie. I want this one, and buy a content set and have everything, do all of that. I enjoy that process. It is a kind of a mountain to get over the hurdle of buying to get into it. But once you're into it, it's no more expensive buying content than buying the physical media. I get most of my content for $10 to $15 a movie. You do have the benefit to being able to get things like Superman or a lot of the current new releases. What was another one we just watched? Jurassic Park and Elio, and really anything as it hits streaming content, it also hits traditionally Kaleidescape. So I am getting the physical media well before, in a lot of cases, it actually hits physical media. Now it's available on streaming, but I don't want to watch it on streaming. So you've got those benefits as well. Last benefit that I look at along those same lines is for series. Like we were watching the Last of Us series and they just released it on streaming. I could watch it in physical media and not having it constrained to the streaming release. So I had to buy it, but I wanted the increase in fidelity over watching it on streaming. So I like it. I have no regrets. The customers that I've sold it to have no regrets. I've yet to have somebody say, I shouldn't have bought this. And I tell them that don't buy based on this premise when they're buying it. You buy for convenience. So that's my sales pitch for it. And there was somebody else asking about the differences of Mad VR. The easiest way, Stephen McGaley, the easiest way to see that is go to madvr.com, go to the resource section, and there will be a document under, I think, the first subheading that is a comparison document that'll actually outline all of the differences between all of the different models. It's going to be a lot easier for you to see that than me explaining it here. Jonathan is typing.
I'm just answering a question in chat since you said it was last question.
I don't have any more questions. No other ones.
Sometimes it spits those answers up there twice. I didn't type that twice. I don't know why. So his question specifically, like, what about something like a QL3000 or a QL7000 on a slate screen?
Well, we just had that in the forums.
Yes, that's what I was just answering right now.
Yeah.
Somebody bought a QL7000, which has 10,000 lumens, quite bright. He had a 280-inch screen, which is huge, and he used some gray paint that had a 0.3x gain, somewhere between 0.3 and 0.4. And we looked at Projector Central Calculator. He was trying to figure out why it wasn't bright or what he could do to fix it. He was only predicted to get like 6-foot Lamberts. So, like from the initial get-go, that was a failed plan. Like that's off the charts, not good.
Yes.
So when we stepped them up to like, hey, get an acoustic transparent screen, like even just right out of the gate with like a 0.85 or something screen, then he's up to like 16-foot Lamberts, which is on the good side of recommended. Like if there's a green line here, it was on the high side of recommended. So you do have some penalty, as Ryan was saying, with the gray screen that it just lowers everything. It lowers your blacks, but it also lowers your brights. So do you have enough headroom to play with it?
It can be like somebody saying that Adele uses it. It can be done if you have enough brightness. But you got to make sure you've got enough. Because if you don't, you're going to get yourself into these situations. And something very simple that a lot of people overlook is when you're comparing screen materials, it is in your best interest, if you don't have a screen yet, to zoom the projector to the size that you think the screen is going to be in order to look at the screen materials underneath the brightness that the projector will be at, and change your laser level or your bulb level or your light level appropriately, will be at when it's actually in use. I think what happened here, John, and this is a guess, that he was comparing screen samples at a different zoom and thereby a different brightness when he made his decision. That'd be my guess.
Right.
Because if he would have seen that in person at that brightness level, I think you would have known it's probably too dim. And the other part of this is try and get samples that are large enough, because 1 foot by 1 foot or a piece of paper is not typically large enough for you to make any meaningful determination of what material is best. So
You're right.
Everybody don't go ask the screen manufacturers for 2 foot by 2 foot or large samples, but ask your dealers to see if they have samples available, because it does eat into their screen material sending out samples that they're never going to get back. But it is helpful to see them on big screens or big samples instead of little itty bitty things. Like anything else, bigger is better, especially to make decisions. Nothing else. We've come to the end. So I guess we won't do a stream next week. We can do one. Not next week, so I'll be gone. So the following Monday, which will be, Jonathan, you can do one on your own if you'd like. So the next stream with me would be September 8th. Actually, I can't do that one. My son has a soccer game. I can't do that one either.
We might have to touch base, you and I too, because we may do a camping trip that next week.
What about September 12th?
Yeah, that should be fine.
All right, let's plan on September 12th. I said we'd plan on last Friday, and then we didn't show up. So you may see us or you may not. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I don't even know why we're planning this.
Yeah.
No idea.
So look at this comment. This is the truth right here. Knowing you guys, you'll do a stream tomorrow with no notice. Pop on. Hey, here we are.
At 11 a.m. during the workday. Yeah, it's entirely possible. You never know what's going to happen here.
That's right.
No clue. We did just do a AVS podcast with James Chen. There was an episode released last week. There's another episode releasing. I don't know when.
What was the James Chen one about? I don't recognize
HDMI. So he's the director of Chords. And it's a multi-part series. The whole thing with him is probably going to end up being 4 episodes. It's a long conversation about HDMI and kind of the history, talking about manufacturers and their testing methodology and things that the consumers need to think about and he brought up some excellent points, right? Like one of them being, I never really thought about it this way, and shame on me for not thinking about it this way, but a handmade cable is actually bad when you think about HDMI. Because if the twists differ in any of the channels, the timing gets off and it just screws everything up. And it may not work because your twist rate is different. And if it's far enough off, air correction can't correct for it and just fails. So then when you start adding exotic materials and stuff for covering copper strand or solid core, you can run into skin effect where the signal starts wanting to gravitate towards the more conductive material, and it starts screwing up the speed because your frequency changes, and then you can run into failures and stuff that way. So in a lot of cases, or I'll say some cases, it can actually be more beneficial to get a cheap cable in certain scenarios.
Seems like we'd be better off just going to optical that's fully digitized, that's not multiple pins, that's just sending it and decoding it on the other end with a decoder, and then you got none of this.
Well, I think one of the biggest things is that they're sending 96 gigabits per second unbuffered or relatively unbuffered. And when you look at Ethernet, it's buffered. It has time to be able to do stuff, and it is a much lower data rate. So they're doing all of this stuff, and that's why they have all of these different lanes that they're having to do, because there's a ton of information that's being conveyed over that. And it's just been it's really interesting with him actually breaking it down at the manufacturing level to learn what they're having to do to test. and one of the this is an episode that hasn't aired yet, but one of the things we were talking about is that they even have to take into account the amount of solder that they put in, because the amount of solder that they put in changes the conductance of the material, and thereby can throw off the frequency and the speed of the signal as it traverses the cable. So they have to think about all different kinds of stuff. And because of the data rates that are being done, any minutia can throw it off and cause all hell to break loose.
Do you
So
think because it's getting to the point where the diminishing returns and the fact that it's complicated to manufacture and stuff, do you think that will put like a little bit of a damper on the speed for that next HDMI
he
releases?
said, and I asked him that question. He said, "Yeah, there's going to be a point where we're going to run out. You can't do anymore."
I mean, you're getting to the physical limits of
Yes.
copper already.
Yeah, you're in the twist rates and stuff. There's only so far we can take it, at least with our given technology. I mean, we talked about this yesterday. That's when we were recording it. And it was the next one. I think I keep saying this, but the next episode, we're going to start talking about like jitter and different things that come in to cause things to fail. We'll continue that conversation. And then I'm going to ask him and make it a point to, I've already told him this, but what do those failures look like? Like when HDMI fails, what does that actually look like on the screen? What does the symptom look like when that's happening?
You can probably tell him as well as he knows from
Yeah,
all
I
your Mad
can
VR
for some
troubleshooting.
of it, but he knows a lot more than me. I mean, James is way smarter than I am. And it's just been a very interesting conversation because HDMI isn't sexy. Nobody talks about it. I mean, they do, but they don't go into this level. And he's breaking it down to a point where I think a lot of people, even if they're not nerds, can really understand what's happening. And it's been a long video series, and hopefully the sponsors understand that this is a big part of the industry, and hopefully it's well received. It seems to have been well received, but we'll see. So if anybody hasn't seen that yet, it's on AVS Forum. You can download it. I think Eric's been publishing it on the main page. You can get it at the top. So yeah, it's been good.
That's cool.
Yeah. HDMI is so second. No, it is not. Not at all. Anything closing? I'm going to go suffer at Cedia until the next time I see you.
Yeah, well, bring back stories of that eclipse.
I'm excited about that. I'm not excited to move it.
Mm-hmm.
No. Did I tell you about we had to pick the Nerthus up at Cedia or at ISC with a forklift?
No.
Yeah. That's how these things go.
Mm.
It's just, you got somebody with a $400,000 projector and some dude's just sitting there with a rope thinking he's going to do anything if it falls off. Just trying to make it feel better.
It sort of reminds me of that story of us trying to move that Martin Logan speaker that was at the very first M-Wave that came in like coffin-sized boxes.
Oh,
they were like 400 or 500 pounds, and they were like, gather around, boys. I'm like, oh, boy.
Yeah. Gather around, friends. You too get to touch the neolith, and everybody's excited until they pick it up, and then they hate themselves. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for the stream.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this on a Monday. Thanks for everybody joining us on this spontaneity. I don't know why they do either. Oh, well. Well, I'll wrap it up. Stay safe out there, guys. Until next time, we have no idea when it's going to be. Tentatively, it'll be September the 12th when we'll do our Cedia recap. Maybe we'll have Bob on to talk about what he's seen at Cedia, because he's going to have more time walking the depths of the conference hall than I will. So we'll have to pick his brain. We'll plan on that. Cedia recap, September 12th. Unless a train wreck happens, then all bets are off. Who knows when it'll happen. But enjoy your home theater journey. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.